So it's great to be back at King's Cross.
Hey, how are you, Ada?
I'm good. So I'm Ada Rose Cannon from Samsung Internet.
I'm Laura Morinigo from Samsung Internet.
Cool. So I think we're here today to talk about how you got into doing web standards.
Right. So that is like a really cool topic because it involves a little bit about how I started with Samsung Internet. And also, my main contribution with standards is related with the device posture API. So I don't know if you're aware of that, Ada.
Tell me a little bit more about the device posture API.
So the device posture API is an API that helps developers take advantage of these new devices, foldables.
Oh yeah.
So usually when you got a new standard for the web, it's because we are trying to see, okay, is this something that we can do to help developers' life easier? And this new hardware arrived, so one of the things that we wondered was, okay, how is it going to be useful for developers to innovate using this type of hardware? And the device posture API, what it's trying to do is tell developers, okay, you're going to be able to use a foldable device and detect when this device is going to change its posture.
Device posture, you mean like?
Like this, which is flat, right? Yeah. And then like this, when it's like folded, okay? So just imagine that you're having a newspaper and for you maybe it's going to be useful to detect, okay, I think I can improve the UI or make a better user experience when the user is using the phone like this, and change even the UI when the device changes its posture. So that's how it started. And the device posture API, before it was called Foldable API.
Yeah.
And it was made originally by one of our colleagues, Diego, who is currently at Microsoft, and also Kenneth from Intel.
Yeah.
As you know, in standards, you collaborate with different companies to check how you can improve something.
And you develop these standards within the W3C standard body.
Exactly. So it started like that, and then as there were a few changes in our team, we need to continue this contribution. So that's how I get involved. But personally, since I joined the team, Samsung Internet, I was aware that part of our job is also to make contributions to the web. I mean, we are a developer advocacy team, but we not only, as you know, not only spread the best practices or share what we know, we also contribute into the web, like you do. I mean, I'm talking about my contribution, but Ada is already a co-chair of the WebXR team.
Yeah.
So, okay, I'm gonna ask her also like how this started. But since I've started with the team, I was aware of that, and at first I was a little bit scary, I'm not gonna lie, because when you are in the W3C, maybe, and you want to get involved, maybe you think, oh, but these people know a lot, like.
It can be so intimidating because everyone there is like experts in their field.
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, is something that is valuable when I'm gonna like put any feedback or, so I've started really small. Most of the contributions or the topics that the W3C are doing are in GitHub. So you can follow up and, check which are the issues that are currently working on.
Yeah, we'll put a link to the GitHub pages for the device posture API in the description.
So I just started reading these issues, putting some comments, putting some feedback, and then later I started to make pull requests, which was awesome. And then later I'm actually contributing to the devices and sensors group.
So that's a pretty good way of getting involved, because it is, even though the W3C does work on a membership basis, it's all the work is done in the public, and web APIs really like getting feedback from developers, and I'm sure the same was here too from your experiences.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, at the end of the day, the W3C is trying to improve the web, and developers made the web also. So it's really important for these standards to get feedback, and everybody can start getting some feedback and also check what's going on in W3C.
For the device posture API, what's a good way for developers to test it and give feedback?
So first of all, you can check with the link that we're going to provide the latest status of the device posture API.
Yeah.
And also there are some issues that we're currently working on. If there is something that you want to check or you want to give feedback in any of the issues, you can just comment. I mean, everybody can do it. You don't have to be from any organization at all, as long as you're part of the web development community, you can do it. And we also are doing some collabs related with the device posture API, so you can start testing.
So what are the code labs?
So one of the collabs that we did are, we did even like a camera that detects when you are changing the posture of the device and it divides the screen.
Yeah.
So we're going to explain in a separate video later how you can implement that, because it's so easy and straightforward. So yeah, everybody can start contributing, but if you want to go ahead and maybe you're wondering, okay, what else can I do? Like, again, Ada is a co-chair. Like, how do you start it? Because we were talking about like how I started my contribution, but she's already like here, right?
Yeah. Well, I started pretty much like everyone else did, like just following along GitHub, leaving comments on issues and raising my own issues. And so the most important thing for standards developers is to have developers using the standards and giving feedback. And that's what I was doing. So for me, it was back in the days of WebVR. So this was like 2000, gosh, when I started Samsung, I think this was like 2015, 16.
Wow, yeah.
Back when WebVR, which is a now deprecated API, was the way to do virtual reality on the web. And between using some of the early implementations and using the polyfill, I had to go at building some of my own virtual reality websites, and I was just lucky enough that I was also able to attend some of the face-to-face meetings. And over time, I just got more and more involved. And then when it came time to make an actual working group, and we made the decision to deprecate WebVR to make a new API called WebXR, which would like solve VR and AR together. They asked me to come along and chair the group because I'd been like
very active already.
Yeah, very active in the community, and so I kind of like weirdly got in like right at the bottom. Like the group was brand new when I joined, and it's been pretty much my last 5 years worth of work to ensure that the group is like a really healthy, welcoming community where people feel welcome to come onto the GitHub and leave messages and try out the APIs and give feedback. And I think that's, to be honest, that's the most important role of a chair. It's not so much the facilitating the standards, which is important. I mean, it's the end of the day what we're trying to make, but to try and maintain a healthy community so that developers feel confident to feed back into the process without worrying that they're going to get shouted down or anything.
Okay, and what do you suggest also to developers that want to start contributing to standards?
Well, the best thing you can do, if there's a standard you're really interested in, try it out. See if you come across any problems with it. See if it meets your needs. And if it does meet your need, that's actually great. Just go back to the issue and say like, hey, I used this, I built a demo, and it solved my use case. Tell them what your use case was and how it solved it. And this is great feedback to get. And if it didn't fulfill your use case, that's also great knowledge to have, because then they know it's not meeting developers' needs. Because every now and then you do get APIs that have shipped without having good feedback from developers.
Right.
And then by the time developers are actually using it, it's too late to change.
Right.
Because
We need developers' feedback. Yeah.
Because as standards go on, like in the early days before there are any implementations, there might be a polyfill or something, but it's hard to test but easy to change.
Okay.
And then you start getting implementations in browsers, but the standard itself hasn't been entered candidate recommendation or anything like that. And so you can change it, but it's hard to make big structural changes. And that's a great time to give feedback. But then eventually an API gets kind of like stamped and it said, we won't change this anymore because we'll be breaking the web. And at that point, if it's not meeting developers' needs, then it ends up causing a big problem in the web because you can't change it anymore.
Exactly. Yeah. And how developers find all these topics or issues? I always suggest to people, like, if you're interested in start doing something and it's just one of the topics that you really like, because there are so many. I mean, Device Poster API, WebXR, yeah.
Yeah, the web is a huge topic. So like probably feeding back into something which has been long since stable on the web might not be super useful, but it's surprising how many modern web APIs are still in active development and still trying to get feedback and evolve. So if there's a newer API out there that's still being developed, or perhaps has a second version or a more advanced version being worked on, that's a great way to do it. So often I just search for something like name of the API W3C spec, and then that shows me where I can read the specification itself. You can go to the GitHub. On the GitHub, you'll often find explainers.
Yeah.
And explainers are great documents because a web standard is something that's meant to be read by browser implementers, and it's extremely technical and written in very precise language to explain what's meant to do. Whereas the explainer is meant to be more human readable. Not that browser implementers aren't human, I mean like more developer friendly.
Developer friendly.
Yeah, they might have some examples and it explains some of the thinking behind some of the API decisions.
Yeah, that's super cool. Okay, so if you are interested as a developer to start with standards like we did, like Ada did, and myself, I suggest take a look at which are the current APIs and start contributing. You can even start with the Device Poster API. We need your feedback. Right now is a draft, which means that it's experimental. So it needs a really good phase, as you said, Ada, to start getting involved and getting your feedback. And then, yeah, we're looking forward to keep contributing to standards.
Yeah, and thank you so much. I think it's been super interesting. Yeah, if you want to try out the Device Posture API, I think it's working in Samsung Internet, right?
Yes, it is. So yeah, we're going to do some testing around that.
Cool. So I think that'll be for the next video.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, fantastic. So
Okay. See ya.
see you into that.